Welcome everyone to this my first video on this channel, and today I'm going to be breaking down the 7 Hermetic principles governing both the universe and yourself. So let's just get straight into this. So the first principle is the principle of mentalism, and this is a line from the Kabbalion. The all is mind, the universe is mental. Now, this is the very first principle in the Kabbalion. And you need to understand that all things within the material world began as a thought within the mind before it was manifested. Meaning our minds are the very fabric of reality itself. Now, you may question me and go, what about the trees? What about these things? Which obviously would have began before humanity. But I would reply by saying that it's all from God's mind, because we are an extension of God's consciousness. That is what we are. Now, consider what happens in dreams. Whatever you think just happens straight away through the power of your mind, but within the material world, you must consciously create it with your own energy and, of course, time, which for many people you don't have very much of, since you are very preoccupied in what you do. Our minds are infinite. There are no amount of knowledge our minds cannot comprehend, as our minds are metaphysical and cannot be physically filled with anything. Now, I want you to think about the things which modern society are not only implementing into our own minds, but also what we implement into our own minds. The content we watch, the things that we expose ourselves to. Yet, we do not understand that everything that we see and hear and think, it all contributes towards our reality. A common mistake people make is they think the mind is the brain. However, this is wrong, as the mind is just one substance compared to the brain, which I'm sure is many. So essentially, the brain is a physical manifestation of our minds. All reality is based upon perception. This makes good and bad to be perception-based from our minds. So essentially, all things are just on a spectrum, and it's all based on our perspective, how we essentially see things to be. It's all varying degrees. An example of this is hot and cold. When do we know when something goes from hot to cold? It's all just a perception of ourselves. And lastly, the cause and effect theory, which I will also be covering in this video as it is a Hermetic principle. But the mind acts as the cause, and the effect is essentially the initial action, the outcome of it. And this can be good or bad, and this ultimately also relates to the theory of karma. How to apply the principle of mentalism. So I could be telling you all these things, but how can you use this to essentially change your current reality? Now, the first thing is you must learn to listen to your intuition. Your intuition is a small voice within your mind which speaks only the truth, and in a way it can act as guidance. It also has the ability to pick up on other people's thoughts and to read their energy. You may see yourself relying on this subconsciously when being introduced to new people and having to socialize with others. Now, if you're doing this subconsciously without realizing, that in itself is showing you how powerful your mind is. But in a way, we do it subconsciously because we do not know the true power of our intuition. And it's all centered around you and your perspective, of course. Learn to meditate and observe without judgment, both for meditation and day-to-day life. If you notice, most people just react to life rather than living through the perspective of their inner world, which, if people do not, it can lead to people relying on their emotions, and we are sentient beings, meaning our emotions are constantly changing And if you just react to life, it causes us to live in chaos rather than in harmony, because our minds are the fabric of reality. And if our minds are in chaos from all these distractions we are absorbing, then ultimately that will cause the actions we do to be scattered and essentially chaotic. When living through the inner world and the perspective of how powerful your mind truly is, then you can begin to control your external world and the circumstances which come from it. Work on your imagination, as that is the ability to create something out of nothing. This can be done through visualization with meditation, or simply just daydreaming, putting yourself in a scenario, making it so real, and making sure you include your senses, what you smell, what you feel, what you hear. And this will not only improve your dreams, because that is essentially what you're doing when you dream, you enter your subconscious mind, but it will also essentially help your focus and attention not only during meditation or visualization, but also day-to-day life, because many of us have a very poor attention span because of how chaotic our minds really are. Hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. This is important to live by, as everything that you see, hear, and speak contributes towards your reality. Now, I want you to consider, what are things that happen in your life on a day-to-day basis which are not necessarily good habits? Maybe this can be the conversations you're having with others. Maybe this is that you judge others before getting to know them. Take some time to consider this. However, when you are cautious of these three things, you then limit negativity entering your electromagnetic field and possibly disrupting and influencing your internal state, which will cause you to act based on instincts. If you notice when someone may say something hurtful towards you, you have a feeling within yourself to just reply by insulting them or defending yourself, when rather, if you consider that what they are saying is just negativity coming from their own inner world, then you will notice that it is meaningful and you can take that as a lesson to benefit your spiritual journey. We need to understand that the material world is the effect of the collective consciousness manifesting their desires. If you look at how history has evolved over time, you can talk about the architecture, how the buildings have become dull and square, and things don't have life like they used to. And you could say this is to limit our minds and essentially limit the ways in which we think, and the fact that we as individuals do not question this system we're in, but rather we just react to the situations that reality gives to us. So this image in the top right of Neil Armstrong and other astronauts before they landed on the moon, which is clearly did not happen. So in this image, we see the astronauts clearly symbolizing this fundamental lesson. And you need to know that these people were Freemasons, meaning they were on the journey of self-mastery of the inner world and possibly astral travel, which I'm sure most Freemasons are. There's a common phrase in which some Freemasons introduce themselves as is, "Are you a traveling man?" Something to think about. Now, the next principle is the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. Now, this works for both the microcosm and the macrocosmic. And let's get into it. Now, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, meaning if you exert negativity into your toroidal field, it will come back to you in some way or another. This is similar to karma, which originates from Indian ancient religions. Now, I want you to consider how within your life, if you have been in a place of negativity, you will only receive negativity back, and that is how the cosmos works. It's all based on this very important principle. Everything seen comes from the unseen. I'd say realms of consciousness, because we experience consciousness on a day-to-day basis. We are interacting with this grid of consciousness around us where we shape it through our actions, but ultimately our thoughts as well, as all actions originate as thoughts first. This makes the physical world to be the effect, and us as the living and conscious being to be the cause of it. As a collective consciousness, if we emit low vibrational energies like hate, lust, and jealousy, this will be evident in the material world. And I'm sure if you are clicking on this video, you have noticed this. How the material world at this point in time, the mainstream more specifically, is very focused on negativity, more specifically in the news and the content we watch. It's very driven to trigger our subconscious mind and essentially create us to be in a low state of consciousness, because that is what they want us to be in. As the energy of our minds are in the thoughts, actions, and emotions that we emit into the cosmos, if the words do not reflect intuition and wisdom, which are the higher faculties of man, the 3 higher chakras, then we will be on a low frequency and attract things from that lower frequency, such as people and experiences. This is very important, as if you yourself are a negative person, you, throughout the entire experience of physicality, will only get that back and will only affect your reality in a negative way and make you more unhappy. You need to break that habit, that system of thinking, because it's not benefiting you, and it's certainly not benefiting others around you. Now, the macrocosm. The planetary energies within the firmament mirror the chakra system within all human beings, where each chakra corresponds to the energy of the planet. Now, that may not make too much sense to you, but I want to break down that space, as you are meant to and you are taught to know, is a lie to cover the actual truth about the cosmos. If you look back at old depictions of the world from the Mayans, the Egyptians, they all showed a world with a firmament surrounding this plane, this inertia, which it tells us in itself that they have already lied to us, and what else are they lying to us about? And they're certainly lying to us about the power of our minds. We must have balance within our chakras and live from the heart, to live in harmony with the universe and ourselves, to find and live by our soul's purpose. We all have a purpose. Our souls have a purpose in life. Yet, if you do not look within yourself and wake up to what is really going on, then you will never know the true power that you hold within yourself, and we all do. This is not just for one person. This video is for everyone. Even trees, for example, to grow taller, they must first grow their roots into the ground, as it acts as stability. This is the same for your soul, and understanding these principles, as they will help you to be a conscious creator of your own reality, and ensuring ultimately that when you die, you do not return. My personal research has led me to the understanding of reincarnation is very much real. If you die and on your mind is still physicality, then you will come straight back here, because that is essentially what you desire. And living from this perspective makes your life very meaningless. And we'll move on to the next one. The law of vibration. This is also very important. All matter is vibrating on a certain frequency, and this vibration depends upon its state. Now, we ourselves are vibrating on a specific frequency. This is the microcosm. And the macrocosm, all matter is simply just light on a certain spectrum. And us humans, HUE is light. We decode light through our brains. So, yes, you can apply this law by thinking, speaking, and feeling higher vibrational things to align your vibration with it. I'd recommend journaling, positive affirmations. You cannot go wrong with simply doing affirmations in the present tense, which are positive and overall really great for your mind. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Remember what I said. It is mind over matter rather than matter over mind. So you must ensure that you are not letting the external world influence your inner world and essentially your vibration if you're linking it to this law. So, as I said before, we just simply react to life. We must live in the perspective of the truth. The law of polarity, also very important. This principle states that everything has two poles, and both are necessary for one to exist. This can be good and evil, hot and cold, love and hate. As I previously stated, they are both on the same spectrum, but varying degrees. You can't say when one thing goes from love and hate. It's all how you perceive it, and it's all the perspective of that. On the same spectrum, it's based on perspective. Water can be both solid, liquid, and gas, and it depends on the degree, which in this case is temperature and also, of course, vibration. Everything is vibration. You see here the feminine and the masculine. Feminine is the right hemisphere, which sees things as unified, creativity, emotion, and the masculine is the left hemisphere, which is logic. And when you consider with birth, two energies, the masculine and the feminine, come together to create life. It's all interconnected. Everything. The universe is balanced with night and day, summer and winter, masculine and feminine. There must be destruction for creation. That is very important to understand. For you to become a higher version of yourself, there must be a destruction of the lower self, whether this be a gradual process or an immediate, whether that be simply cutting out old habits to create new ones. It honestly is all based on your perspective on how much you essentially want to change your current process of thinking and your current reality. How to apply this law, as this isn't the most straightforward law to essentially apply, but here we go. You must change the limiting belief systems within your mind. I have a firm belief that all limitations are simply belief systems within your subconscious mind, meaning reprogramming it is very much necessary to change your perspective of reality, and positive affirmations will ensure this sticks in your subconscious mind. As your subconscious mind is 90% of your mind. And if you meditate and you look within your subconscious mind, you will be pulling out possibly thoughts you haven't thought in months due to how distracted you may be in day-to-day life. Let's move on. The law of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This is a verse from the Kabbalion. As everything in this universe comes from torus fields, even life, we go from birth, growth, decay, and death. It's a process the same as a torus field. And when you think of the things in which nature is produced, for example, an apple, it is in the shape of a torus field, but the seed grows in the very center because that is where life is. It's always in the center of these two. It's where the polarity comes in, it's always in the center. And it returns back to the center after going through the ether, which is the etheric world, which there are current realities that we are in, but rather they're unseen because we are stuck in physicality, of course. This reflects both the daily and yearly cycle, which everything within this universe experience, from the animals, the plants, us. We all experience this. This means that for every action, there is an opposite but equal reaction from it, which of course links to cause and effect. To apply this principle, you must have awareness. You must have awareness of what you are doing, the actions you are doing, because essentially, a lot of us live and think and do in the exact way we did yesterday because of our subconscious mind. So to do this, you must not attach yourself to anything apart from your inner world. You must constantly be aligned with your inner world and your inner state. And of course, positive thinking patterns, which can be done through positive affirmations and also just spreading love. Keep a smile on your face. It will only affect people who are negative, and you will see that if you go ahead with that. The law of cause and effect. I have mentioned this one already. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is but a name for the law, not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. This is another verse in the Kabbalion, of course. This is essentially saying that everything we do has effects on us, but it's not always going to come straight back. You have to take time to essentially notice your mistakes because they will come back to you, and you can do this through meditation. How to apply this principle? Of course, important. Doing good habits. This can be going to the gym. This can literally just be thinking positively, spreading love, reading a book, and not scrolling on your phone and essentially just distracting yourself, which is very easily done in this modern world because it is way too accessible. Not only looking after your mind, but also looking part of your body, as it is one of your bodies of consciousness, 25% of your being. You have 4 bodies. You are not just a physical body the way in which you think. You have a physical body, of course. You have an emotional body, which you may feel tingle. If someone says something to you, you may feel sensations throughout your body. You have, of course, a mental body and a spiritual body, which many people do not have their spiritual body even alive. Of course, there is a little flame. However, to be in connection with your spiritual body, meditation is certainly the key to that, and thinking positively, of course. The main thing here is it is all about consistency and disciplining your mind. Now, if you do decide to begin today, you must understand that your mind will play tricks on you. It will make you think in a certain way. It will make you want to go back to your old habits because we as people are very attached to our old vibrational state. So you must not break the new habits, but yet nourish them and make sure that you align yourself with them. Law of gender. This is similar to the law of polarity, but it's different in a way. Gender is everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Of course, the Kabbalion. How to apply this principle? We can balance the higher and lower self to be in a state of inner harmony within ourselves. Do not let your life be guided by your lower self, as that will drive you towards engaging in distractions and leading you to feel unhappy. I will ask you this: does scrolling on your phone really make you feel happy? Does it make you feel like you have achieved anything? And the trick here is that it's the dopamine, it's triggering within your mind, making you feel like you have achieved something. However, this is of course very wrong. Here is some Masonic artwork. If you understand symbolism and the Masons, you will understand this. So they clearly denote masculine and feminine energies through the two pillars, the sun and the moon. Everything is gender, yet it's not always the most understood thing about the cosmos, even though it is known. Thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate every single one of you. Please comment on this video for any suggested videos or simply any feedback. You know, some things that I could change about the video. Not so much information on the slides, more from my own words. And yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all everyone for tuning in, and have a lovely day.